This is the video for 8.1, and this whole chapter 8 is on conics. So these are, if you take a cone, a three-dimensional cone, and we'll talk about this in class a little more, and you slice it, you get these shapes that we're going to talk about. There's parabolas, ellipses, and hyperbolas. Now, we've done parabolas many times, but we're going to think about it and look at it in sort of a different light, kind of coming at it from a different angle. And that is, we're coming at it as a locus of points. So a locus kind of means this set of points that all fit this certain criteria. Okay, so the criteria for the parabola is these are all the points that are equidistant from a point, which we call the focus, and a line that we call the directrix. Okay, so I drew one here, and if you notice, so here's the point xy. It would be any point on the parabola, right? Now you notice, so this line right here is the distance from C, which is going to be our focus in this parabola, to the point on the graph. And you notice this line over here, this would be the distance from the same point to a line, and this is the directrix. Okay? And here I've made it show the distances or the lengths of that segment, and you see they're the same. So these are the set of points where they're the same. Okay? And it makes this parabola, and yes, it's the same parabola that we have talked about as a quadratic and everything else, right? So we'll look then at all the things that are the same. So the parts of this parabola that we need to know are so here's the vertex. We've talked about vertex before. For this initial part in 8.1, the vertex is always going to be at 0, 0. The next video is actually from 8.4, but it's going to show us how we shift the parabola, and then the vertex would be at a different place. Okay, this distance from the vertex to the focus is, we're going to call P. Okay, and it's the same distance from the vertex to the directrix. In fact, here you see that if I measure this here, that distance from the focus to the directrix is 2p. Okay, so, and the vertex is right smack in the middle. So that's how that relates to everything. Now, this point right here, this focus, has the point, the ordered pair, over 0, up p. Okay, so the focus is 0p. The directrix, you notice, is down p. So the directrix is a line, is a horizontal line, and it would have the equation y equals negative p. Okay, so now if we look at this, and I'm going to go through this deriving the formula really fast because I don't want to spend all of our video on it, but think about the distance formula, right? How you would write the distance between xy and this point, 0p. Okay, so that distance, the distance formula is the difference in the y's, or the x's squared, the difference in the y's squared, right? And that would equal the distance. And remember that this distance is equal to the distance on the vertical distance, right? And so this little distance right here would be y. This would be y. And this distance right here is our p. So this line would be y plus p. Okay, now, if we square both sides and simplify this out, we will get, I'll square this side. So you see that the p squareds will cancel each other out. The y squareds will cancel each other out. If I add the 2py to the other side, I end up with x squared equals 4py. Okay, that is my general formula for the parabola. Okay, and remember that p is the distance from the focus to the vertex, and the x and the y are the ones on the parabola. Now I kind of set this up so that I'm getting this x squared, right? And p is a positive number because it's a distance. And you see that it's all positive, and that would be a parabola that opens up. Okay, well we could have other ones that that don't open up. We can have it going in all four directions, in fact. So here, this would actually be all the different ways it might open. And you notice that this one has the x squared, right? And it's all positive. So that's going to be a parabola that opens up. Now this is also an x squared, but now we have this negative here. So this would be a parabola that opens down. In this one, we have y that's squared, but everything is positive, right? So this would open to the right. And in the last one, we have y squared, and it's a negative number, and this would open to the left. In all of these cases, in all of these formulas, the vertex is at 0, 0. So we're going to shift it in the next video, but right now the vertex is always going to be at 0, 0. So when we're looking for stuff with the parabola, I would ask you for any of the following things, okay? The vertex. Now, the vertex for this is 0, 0. In the next video, h and k will not be 0, 0. We will change it. I expect you to find p. And remember that p is the distance from the vertex to the focus. Okay? The focus is the point that we're talking about, and the point is always inside the parabola. So if it opens to the right, then the focus would be to the right of the vertex. If it opens to the left, then the focus would be to the left of the vertex. The directrix is a line. So in a parabola that opens up or down, it would be y equals this negative p, right? Or if it opens x and y, if it opens to the left or right, it would be x equals negative p, or p if it opened to the other way. It could be either way. Okay, and the other thing is the focal diameter, and what this does for us is it allows us to see how wide it is when we're graphing it. So let me just show you what I mean by focal diameter. If I make this go straight across, straight so that it's a parallel to the directrix, right, and it goes through the focus, look what this is. This would be, since it's parallel, this is going to be p, and this is going to be p, so this would be 2p. And then this would also be 2p. Well, that's only half of it, so the other half would also be 2p. So the focal diameter is always 4p. Well, does 4p sound familiar? It should sound familiar because that is our equation, right? This is 4p times y in all of these cases, and so 4p happens to be the focal diameter. All right, so let's look at some that I might ask you to do. Okay, so here's a really basic one. You see that this is already basically set up in our equation because it's going to be, the equation is 4py, right? So all I know is that 4p is the same as 8. So if 8 equals 4p, then p equals 2. Okay? So here's my graph, and I will expect you to be able to graph these, right? My vertex is at 0, 0. And then my focus is at 2. And I know it opens up because this is positive. It's an x squared, and it's a positive 8, right? So it's going to open up. My focus is inside the parabola. My directrix is outside the parabola. So there's my directrix. The directrix is the line y equals -2. The focus is the point 0, 2. Okay? My focal diameter is 8. So that means it's going to go 4 this way and 4 this way. And that's how I know how wide it is. And there's my parabola. So here's one that is not quite in the right form yet. So I want to get the y squared by itself because that's how our general formula is set up, right? So if I divide by -2 or multiply by -1/2, then I have it in the right form, right? And it's a y squared, so it opens to the left or right. And because it's negative, it's going to open to the left, right? So I know that this parabola is opening to the left. And vertex is at 0, 0. So now I need to find p. Well, I know that -1/2, well, actually I don't even need that negative, because p we just consider a positive number, but 1/2 is equal to 4p. So if I divide by 4, I get 1/8 is equal to p. All right, so if p is equal to 1/8, then my focus, I'll make my numbers really big here. My focus would be here at 0. Oops, I got to go the other direction. I'm opening this way, right? So my focus is over here. At -1/8, 0. That's my focus. My directrix is over here at the line x equals 1/8. My focal diameter is 1/2, so that would be 1/4 this way and 1/4 this way. So it would look like this. And so do you see how I've gotten all those little bits of information in here? It can turn out any direction at any time. Okay? All right, here's your quiz questions. There's 2 of them. So here I give you the equation, x squared equals 12y. I already gave it to you in standard form, so you should be able to find p. And that's your first question. Just tell me what p is. It's a number, okay? It's always a positive number, but it's a number. Then the second question is to give the ordered pair that is the focus. So write it as an ordered pair with parentheses. Don't put any spaces in there. And tell me what the focus is. And sketch a graph. You won't be able to enter that in the quiz, but you should be able to sketch a graph from this with the directrix and the focus and everything on it.